You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Monday Night Community Show with me, Daniel, and we're going to be talking to some of the Muddlarks this evening. And we're firstly going to be speaking to Steve. So, Steve, firstly, welcome along.
Thank you very much for having me again.
So, can you tell us, when did you join the Muddlarks?
Oh, it seems like a lifetime ago now. It was back in November 2010.
And why did you decide to join then, Steve?
I've always had a thing for stage shows. I fancied having a go, and a friend of mine gave me the opportunity to come along. And once I got in there, the group made me feel welcome, and I've stayed there ever since.
So, when was your sort of first appearance when the Muddlarks put something on?
Ooh, the group put a 20-minute one-act play at the Sheppey Little Theatre on in October 2010, I do believe. The radio play was then turned into a 10-minute show for BRFM, and I played Inspector Lestrange. The first time I appeared on stage was March 2011, when the group put on a semi-stage version of the opening 3 episodes of the first complete radio serial, Hound for Hound.
Now, you have been playing Inspector Lestrange in the Preston Mystery Radio play since the first episode. So, do you find that this has helped you when you're playing a character on stage in front of an audience, Steve?
Well, radio plays are great if you don't want to go on stage, or if you've got bad nerves with going on stage like I do. But actually getting on stage, the nerves for me are 10 times worse. But you do get a bit of a buzz when you finish your last show, and you haven't made too many mistakes, and everybody's clapping for you.
So we're halfway through the latest radio play, Steve, and of course it's A Purrect Crime. What character are you playing there?
Well, all I can say on that one is I'm playing a distinguished gentleman called Lord Charles Farnshaw, who's a posh alcoholic. That's really all I can say on that one at the moment.
Okay. So how have you found being a different type of character from the Inspector?
It can be a funny experience. Everybody deals with things slightly different, but the group help you get to where you need to get. And you just feel good for doing it. And
Steve, in November, the Muddlarks are putting on White Cliffs, a murder mystery, a whodunit. Which character are you going to be playing in that?
I'm going to be playing a geezer called Monty Marks. He's a top-of-the-bill comedian in his 50s, so there's a lot of work for me to do there.
But do you find it easier to play a comedy role?
Ooh. Well, I think with our group, whilst learning our lines, it may as well be a comedy, because we all have a good laugh and mess our lines up. But no, there's no real distinction between the two. I struggle with both.
So I believe it's one of the bigger roles you've played, kind of in terms of lines. Have you found learning the lines easier as time's gone on?
Well, at the moment I'm working split shifts, so it's not easy for me to learn my lines at proper times. But this time it's a lot for me to learn, and I just hope I don't let the group down. They know my memory's bad, so no, for me it doesn't get any easier.
Well, Steve, thank you very much for talking to us, and I think we're going to be speaking to Linda just after the next track.
Yep.
And we're now joined with Linda. Linda, it's always good to have you here at BRFM.
Well, it's always nice to be here. Thank you, Daniel.
I was wondering, when did the idea of A Purrect Crime come from, Linda?
Well, I wanted to bring in a few more different characters, primarily to give other members of the group, particularly the newer ones, a chance to take part in some more major roles than just walk-on parts, if you'll pardon the pun, for a radio play. And the intention that a bit further down the line I could write a Preston mystery that didn't involve the usual characters and was told from a different point of view. And at the time, some friends of mine had a cat whose character was just like Crinkles, always wanting to be the centre of attention and always seeming to keep an eye on what was going on. So I based Crinkle on that one cat.
So when you wrote the play, the human characters, did you have anyone particular in mind from the group?
Well, I very much wanted to give Steve another character other than Inspector Lestrange, and he's becoming a very accomplished character actor, despite what he says. And he's portrayed Lord Farnshaw perfectly so far. I also wanted to bring in another major character who I could use as the main character in future plays. So I thought of Cora, who is Shirley's cousin. And she would be someone who was perhaps a bit envious of Shirley and Preston and would want to get involved in solving mysteries herself. Lady Farnshaw, played by Titch, has a wide range of character voices. Violet, played by Steph, who usually plays Mrs. Shirley Hames, and Agnes is being played by Pat, who usually plays Miss Marple. And this gives them the chance to try and play two different characters in the same episode and give them individual voices.
Linda, the last time you were here, you mentioned that there was more radio plays to come. Can you give us some details?
I'm not going to give too much away, but the next radio play is called The Bone of Doom, and that's going to be in 10 parts, and it introduces another main character, Shirley's sister Martha Tillett. Martha is going to be played by Sally, and the plot revolves around Cora and a local landmark, but I'm not going to give any more details than that. And we hope to be recording that sometime in the middle of the year, and we are hoping that we're going to be able to record it at the County Youth again, because they were fantastic to help us with that. The play after that is another 6-parter called Black Lily, and there will be a shock revelation in that one, but I don't want to let anybody know about that too much, so keep it under your hat.
Well, thank you, Linda. I think we're going to be speaking to Sally next. We're talking to the Muddlarks at the moment, and we're now joined with Sally. Sally, thank you very much for coming along to talk to us.
That's great.
So, what's your next major production?
Next major production, we're putting on a comedy thriller at Sheppey Little Theatre on Friday the 1st and 2nd of November, and it's called The White Cliffs, and it's written by Bettine Menkeltlow.
So, I understand she's not a member of the Muddlarks?
No. She's a published playwright who, I believe, lives in Kent.
So how did you come to choose this play then, Sally?
Well, as some people might know, we started as a group in April 2010, and so far we've put on works written by ourselves. The main reason for this has been to keep the costs as low as possible. Our first show, Sea Breezes, back in August 2010, was a compilation of sea-based poems and readings, many written by members of the group, which was the first act of the show, and then we had a short nautical-themed sketch as the second part of the show, which was a bit of a scream. Then, in 2011, our main show gave a number of members a chance to flex their writing skills with a selection of short one-act plays interspersed with some sketches. And last year, Steph wrote Romeo and Juliet for us, and we had great fun doing that. And we're pleased that the comments about it were all very favourable and very encouraging. But we've come to the point where we feel we should try and put on a published play. With stuff we produce ourselves, we can alter things as we go along, but we felt that now was a good time to try and put on something that set down constraints in terms of the action, set, costumes, etc. Having said that, we had to look at the possibilities very carefully because of the number of members in the group and also the ratio of males to females.
And the next thing I suppose to ask is, why is that?
Well, there's no shortage of published plays to choose from in general. Unfortunately, the vast majority of published plays have a bias towards male characters, and we currently have a cast of 6 females and 2 males, and finding a play, any play, that's written for this balance has proved a little bit difficult, not only in the male-female ratio, but also in the age ranges. Not only that, but we are limited in terms of space when it comes to scenery. Some plays look very promising in terms of characters, but require 2 or 3 set changes, which at the moment is not possible for us. Having said that, though, we came across The White Cliffs, which seemed to meet our requirements as far as cast and scenery were concerned, and when we read it, we thought it was a bit of a hoot.
So can you tell us what it is all about then?
Daniel, I can't do that. I can just give you a little brief synopsis, because we can't give the plot away. But it's set just after the Second World War in 1948 at a theatrical boarding house run by a Mrs. Murdoch. A group of variety artists arrive who are going to be giving a review of at the local theatre, and then something happens which turns everyone's world upside down.
So when and where is it going to be put on?
Well, it's going to be put on in November, the 1st and 2nd, which is a Friday and a Saturday, at 7:30 at the Sheppey Little Theatre in Merrick Road, Sheerness. Curtains going up at 7:30, as I said, and the tickets are £5, and they'll be available from Sheppey Glass or at the theatre on the night. Come along and enjoy it.
So we're now joined with Steph, so thank you for talking to us, Steph.
Thank you.
Now, do you have any other events planned?
Yes, we do. We will be holding a jumble sale and coffee morning at the Trinity Church Hall in Sheerness, the 30th of March, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. As you can imagine, putting on a show, particularly a published one, has quite a few expenses, from the cost of the scripts themselves to the materials for the set and costumes, and also the performance rights. We are also going to be recording the next Preston mystery, The Bone of Doom, at some point during the year.
So if anyone would like to join the Muddlarks, how can they contact you?
Well, we meet at the theatre in Merrick Road on Mondays from 7:30 to 9:30, so people can just pop in and come along then. If they have any inquiries, we have a number of contacts. We have a Facebook page, just search Muddlarks with 2 Ds, and our email address is mudlarksSLT@yahoo.co.uk. We are also in the Sardines Dictionary, the magazines for amateur theatre, and to link to that, it's www.sardinesmagazine.co.uk. And the list of all our past shows are given, and up-to-date information on our future shows. We also have a page on the Sheppey Little Theatre's website, which is www.sheppeylittletheatre.org. And there is also a direct link to our email address from the Sardines site as well as the theatres. Or they can text us on 0771 645 5284.
Well, Steph, I'd like to thank you very much for talking to us, and although not all the Muddlarks are in front of the mic, they all come along this evening. I'd like to say a big thank you to all of them for coming along and telling us all about what you're doing.
Thank you for having us.